Welcome back to another episode of The Quest for Self. I'm your host, Allie. Goodbyes. They're some of the hardest moments in life. Whether it's saying goodbye to a person, a place, or a chapter of your life, or even a version of yourself, they carry so much weight. And let's face it, not all goodbyes are clean. Some linger, some leave us with unanswered questions, and some, they come when we least expect them. So, why are goodbyes so hard? Why do we cling to the ache of leaving rather than just enjoy what we lived? We've all heard the phrase, don't cry because it's over. Smile because it happened. But if we're honest, most of us don't just smile. Most of us still ache. For me, goodbyes aren't just about moments ending. They're about love, loss, and impermanence. I live in two worlds, half of my life in Spain and the other half in California. Every goodbye feels like being torn in two. Before we begin, I want to ask you, what goodbye are you carrying right now? Is it fresh, or has it been sitting quietly in your heart for years? Hold on to that thought, because this episode is for you. Goodbyes hurt because they're endings. And endings, well, they activate grief. We cling because endings mean change, and change means the unknown. And the unknown often feels unsafe. When we say goodbye to something or someone, we're closing a door. Sometimes we even wish we could open it back up. That desire to hold on is human, but it's also part of growth. Think about a recent goodbye. How did it feel? Did your chest tighten? Did your mind replay the moment you could have said something different? Goodbyes are rarely neat, rarely what we expect them to be. They hurt because endings are proof that something mattered. And that proof comes wrapped in grief, longing, and love. Let's talk about the psychology and neuroscience of goodbyes. There's a neuroscience reason goodbyes hit so deeply. Our brains are wired for attachment, a survival mechanism. When we lose a connection, the brain treats it like a threat. And that's why endings trigger emotional pain, anxiety, and even physical discomfort. Attachment theory explains that our bonds, whether with people, places, or chapters of life, are hardwired. Letting go activates a stress response because our brain wants to protect us from perceived loss. There's also something called ambiguous loss. When goodbyes are unclear, unfinished, or unexpected, maybe closure never came. Maybe it was abrupt. Or maybe you never realized goodbye was actually happening. That ambiguity keeps your brain looping, searching for a resolution. But here's the truth. Endings without clarity are simply part of life. Healing isn't about closure always happening. It's about learning to make peace without it. What's a goodbye you've been holding on to? Close your eyes. Take a deep breath. Acknowledge your goodbye, however incomplete, and allow yourself to sit with it without needing perfection. Let me share why goodbyes have become such a deep theme in my life. A few years ago, before my mom suffered a really severe stroke, I had a goodbye in Las Vegas. I didn't know that would actually be the last time I would get to be with my mother as herself. I had a great girls' trip with my mom and aunt. We enjoyed ourselves together in Vegas. I then returned to Spain thinking I'd see my mom again in the same way, just like I always had. But life had other plans. That goodbye became permanent for me because the next time I saw her, she was fighting for her life after suffering a severe stroke. And frankly, life has never been the same since. Then there's my relationship goodbye, one I didn't realize was final until months later. I'd left Spain to go back to California to spend time with my mom after her stroke. And a few months afterward, while in California, my then partner ended things with me via message. The last time I said goodbye to him was not the goodbye I ever expected. And now, with Mia, my dog, my soulmate, turning 13 this upcoming November, I face another truth. There will be a last time with her. And the thought breaks my heart. For me, every goodbye has been a lesson. Saying goodbye isn't about losing something forever. It's about creating space for what's next. So let's dive into the cost of clinging to goodbye pain. Clinging to the sadness of goodbye does come at a cost. One, we risk losing the joy of what we lived. Sometimes I've been so caught up in what was ending that I missed the moment itself. Secondly, we risk holding on to grief instead of gratitude, grieving ahead of time instead of fully being present. Three, we risk carrying ache instead of love forward. The fear of goodbye can keep us from fully living ache rather than joy. Acknowledging the pain without holding on to it forever is part of the art of letting go. So let's talk about the secret gift of goodbyes. Here's what I've learned. Endings, as painful as they are, can be life-changing. They invite us to let go, to shed old parts of ourselves, and grow in ways we never imagined. Goodbyes, they're not just an ending. They are the beginning of transformation. They offer clarity about what mattered, what we valued, and who we are becoming. So, think about that goodbye you've been holding on to. What could that goodbye be teaching you? How might it be opening a door to something you never knew existed? Let's dive into some tools for holding on to sadness and gratitude. These are some things that have really helped me learn to hold on to both sadness and gratitude, and I really hope they work for you too. Number one is create a goodbye gratitude list. Write 5 things you're grateful for about what you're saying goodbye to. Even the smallest things matter. Gratitude shifts loss into appreciation. Number 2, 5-minute reflective breathing. Find a quiet place, close your eyes, inhale slowly for 4 counts, hold for 4, exhale for 6. As you breathe, think of your goodbye and allow the feelings to come without any judgment. Number 3, journaling prompt. Ask yourself, if this was my last goodbye, what am I most grateful I got to experience? These rituals, they're not about forgetting. They're about making peace. Because impermanence is at the heart of goodbye. Impermanence reminds us nothing lasts forever, both good or bad. That awareness can feel sad, but it's also freeing. Love, well, it transforms goodbye. Saying goodbye doesn't erase the value of what we had. Love, it leaves an imprint, and gratitude transforms loss into growth. When we reframe goodbye with gratitude, we turn endings into something sacred, something that lives on inside of us. So to you, listening now, whatever goodbye you're carrying, remember this. Endings are proof something mattered. They're proof you dared to care. They are the punctuation marks of your life story. So here's my challenge. When you next face a goodbye, whether loud or silent, pause, breathe, and say to yourself, thank you for this moment. Journal tonight about your goodbye. Write your gratitude list. Sit in that pause. Allow yourself to honor what was and quietly, bravely step toward what's next. Because every goodbye is not just an ending, it's an invitation to something new. Right now, as I sit here in California, after having left Spain just a few days ago, sadness and tears roll down my face. And that's okay. They mean I lived. I loved. I gave myself fully. To friends, to people, to laughter, to margarita nights with friends, to late night talks and burgers, to quiet afternoons, and to the joy Mia has given me. And that is worth every goodbye. Because here's what I've learned. Every goodbye, no matter how unexpected, messy, or painful, it's not just an ending, it's a step forward. And every step you take leads you to a better version of yourself. So I leave you with this. Say your goodbyes with grace. Hold the lessons close and trust the journey. The next goodbye may be the one that leads you to everything you've been searching for. Thanks so much for listening to this episode of The Quest for Self. If you enjoyed listening to this episode, like, follow, subscribe, comment, and share. It would mean the world. Also, don't forget to follow us on social media, The Quest for Self.